Today is March 11th, 2026, and the negotiations between Iran and Pakistan have commenced. Negotiations brokered by Pakistan's Prime Minister. They are being held in Islamabad, Pakistan. And what's interesting is that as these negotiations have unfolded throughout the day, we find this story that's broken about two U.S. naval destroyers that were turned away at the Strait of Hormuz by the IRGC. Now, these naval destroyers actually returned, and they've made it into the strait, and they have commenced on what CENTCOM is calling a demining mission. They're demining the waters. As you know, earlier in the war, Iran apparently got out about between 12 and 15 mines in the waters, and later on that same day, it was reported in Western media that the U.S. had already destroyed all of Iran's mine-laying vessels, which is unlikely. Most of their naval assets probably have been destroyed, but many assets likely still remain underground in Iran or in the islands around the Strait of Hormuz. Very interesting, though, when you think about how after the ceasefire was announced, Iran had said that any shipping that's going in and out of the strait would have to go through the IRGC, and if they didn't get permission, then they'd be bombed. And given the amount of tension in the air over the past week, you would think that this kind of thing would be very unlikely. I would think that already in the negotiations there might be some positive signs. Of course, they could crumble in a day or a week, but might be a positive sign. Maybe there was a promise by the U.S. to lift some sanctions on Iran if Iran would allow these naval destroyers into the strait. Or maybe Trump was just being bold and ordered CENTCOM to allow these naval vessels to go up to the strait and to see what would happen, which I think is unlikely because of the risk involved. But given that we're talking about Trump, he likes to take risks. And maybe he just said, well, we're in the middle of negotiations right now. The IRGC, if they attack, it's going to look pretty bad on their part. And they don't want to risk nuking the negotiations. So who knows what the thinking is and how this is going to develop, but interesting all the same, especially when you consider, again, the amount of control that Iran has maintained over the strait for the week after the ceasefire was announced. So we'll be following it closely, likely do a full video on it pretty soon.